All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. Thursday, June 22nd, 2023. Been on a little bit of hiatus with the Afternoon Blitz, so today's kind of our relaunch day, so looking forward to that. Glad to be back here in the afternoon show. Joined by Jay McLovin. How's it going, Jay? How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. My Astros are back on a winning streak, thank the good Lord. My wife made candied or pickled cucumbers and tomatoes, which, you know, the little things make me happy, Gonzo. Just the little things, man. So I can't be, any more ecstatic than to be back on the afternoon show, hanging out with you and Stat Guy. And, man, what a time to be alive. It's good. It's really good. And, again, and I think for you, if you guys beat the Braves, woo-wee!
You need to put some habaneros and let them pickle in there with those cucumbers. Excellent. Oh,
bro, I did that one time. Whew. It is really good, though. I ain't a lot. Melanie, hey, she spices it up with those things. And they are. You're right, man. It's good.
Dad pickles cucumbers, and he'll put jalapenos and habaneros and serrano peppers and all kinds of stuff in there with them.
Yeah. Bro, it's like the perfect snack when you're watching a game. You can just mow down on those things, a little bit of vodka. Hey, it all works out well. It all works out well. Stat Guy, stop looking so angry. God, you look angry down there.
We're also joined by the Stat Guy, Dustin. How's it going, Dustin?
Hey, you want a cucumber?
I don't like cucumbers.
They don't like you either.
They don't have to like me.
How you doing, Dustin?
I'm doing well.
Been a long time since we've all been on a show together. So, well, got the NBA draft tonight. I guess we'll start there since that's tonight. I know I just heard some news from what I've been hearing. It looked like Brandon Miller was going to be the number 2 pick because everybody it's pretty much a done deal that Wembanyama is going to be one. But Shams Charania came out this morning and said everything he's hearing that now it's going to be Scoot Henderson, and the sports books went from Brandon Miller being the big favorite to be the number 2 pick. Now, Scoot Henderson has went to like almost like minus 500, minus 600 to be the number 2 pick. So they must be getting a lot of information that he is going to be the number 2 pick, because usually if you see the sports book swing like that, there's a reason. They just don't make money because they just guess and change things. So
right,
it's looking like it might be. And what's your thoughts? You think it's going to be Miller or Scoot, Jay?
Yeah, and I know we talked about this earlier with Jeremy, and he seemed to think it was going to be Brandon Miller. And I think it's been back and forth. We've seen where they've talked about Brandon Miller out of Charlotte, and then they've also kind of mentioned Scoot Henderson on the down low. So, truthfully, I think it's anybody's guess. But I do like what you're saying about the sports books. Those guys, they usually are pretty accurate. I think it's a horse apiece. I think whether they go for Brandon Miller or if they go Scoot Henderson, they're going to be fine. I've also seen where Scoot Henderson could even slide down to the Portland Trail Blazers at 3. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I do think I am going to stick with the Brandon Miller at number 2, though. I think now that he's got all that cleared up, I think Brandon Miller is going to go at number 2.
So you think Miller's going to go at 2? I thought Miller would go at 2 as well, because I think he's the better shooter out of the 2. So I figured that's one of the reasons he'd probably go 2 over Henderson. I know Henderson does have the experience where he's been playing in the G League, getting to play against some NBA players and more of an NBA type basketball game than maybe college is. But so I was leaning toward Miller, but like I said, everything since I woke up this morning, everything seems like it's leading toward Henderson now. So we'll see. But Stat Guy, what do you think about the NBA draft? And do you think it's going to be Henderson at 2?
I think it's going to be Henderson at 2, mainly because of LaMelo Ball and his health. You look at the situation with the Bulls right now and Lonzo Ball, how he's now going on, 3 years since he last stepped on the floor because of his knee injury. And now, granted, LaMelo Ball hasn't had any knee problems, but he hasn't been the healthiest player in Charlotte as it is. And he's supposed to kind of be that franchise leader, so I could see them going with Scoot Henderson because he plays the same position as Ball. And if LaMelo doesn't get back to 100%, then they have that easy safety valve and Scoot Henderson to slide as a point guard for the future.
Which then would you think then if they do take Scoot Henderson, does that almost guarantee that probably LaMelo Ball would be traded at some point?
I think they just move him to the 2 guard because he's 6'6", 6'7", so he's already a big point guard as it is, and they could easily just move him over to the shooting guard because he's a good shooter. It just takes the pressure off of him and keeps him maybe healthier than what it would be if he's taking that beating as a point guard.
That's interesting. I can see that. Yeah,
and the style of play that Melo Ball plays, I mean, he could move over to the shooting guard position really with no problem. Because I mean, with the style that he can play, don't get me wrong. I know he's a good passer, but he's also a good ball handler, a good shooter. I think he'd fit in that shooting guard position a little better than Henderson, especially at this point. Now, Henderson might develop and start shooting the ball a little bit better. We've seen players keep developing their game, and if he got where he's shooting the ball better, then I think he could fit into that shooting guard position a little bit better. But I agree, if you have them two together, I would put Henderson at the point guard position.
I definitely think that Charlotte is in a good position, though, regardless. At that number 2 spot, no matter where they go with it, whether they go Brandon or if they go Scoot, I mean, this team is definitely going to start to improve with the addition, adding it on to LaMelo Ball.
Do you think we can maybe see a big trade or something right before the draft with a team trying to move up and maybe trying to get one of these, the number 2 or number 3 pick?
I think the big trade's going to happen with Portland and New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think New Orleans is going to give Portland Zion to give Damian Lillard that superstar that he wants, even though Zion really hasn't been on the floor that much. But I could easily see Zion going to Portland for that number 3 pick.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with what Stat Guy is saying, because I've also seen reports where Portland had talked about possibly sliding out of that number 3 spot and sliding down. So, yeah, I think Portland is a big one. I wouldn't be surprised, like Jeremy Green said, I would not be surprised if the Spurs try to trade back into the draft at that number 9 spot and take that dude he was playing with, Canobly or how you say that guy's last name. And I think they come back and grab him at 9 since they played together in the Premier League. So I wouldn't be surprised if Portland trades back at that number 9 spot.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because I don't think this draft is really a real deep draft in talent wise compared to some of the drafts we've had. I think that's why you might see some teams either try to move up or maybe even move back. I know the Pacers already traded away a couple of their later picks this year for Denver's first round pick next year, which I understand what they're trying to do, but to me it also don't make a whole lot of sense because Denver's first round pick next year probably isn't going to be a real high one either. So you're probably going to be in the same position or maybe even worse, but you'll have your own first round pick as well. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of trades and stuff happen. No, we did have a big trade last night with Kristaps Porzingis going to the Celtics, and Marcus Smart got shipped out to Memphis. No, the first trade talks that we'd heard about kind of fell through, and then I don't know, maybe an hour later that they ended up putting this deal together. After, from what I heard, the first one fell through because of Brogdon's injury. Well, what do you guys think about this trade? Do you think it was a good move for Boston to go after Porzingis? What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I know me and you, we definitely talked about this last night on the Late Show, and I know Dustin was there as well. The comments, so I know he's already tracking what we're about to say. the Porzingis thing, no, I don't like it at all. I will say Porzingis did have the best year of his career last year with the Wizards, getting 23 points, 8 rebounds, and I think a little over 2.7 assists, something of that nature. So he did have a good year last year, and so he is going to opt in, obviously, in that $36 million optional year. And so if he can generate that another year like that with the Celtics, possibly. But when they lost Smart, I thought that was a huge loss for them. So I don't know. I'm not a big Porzingis guy, and so I'm going to say no. I think that the Grizzlies got the better end of this trade in grabbing Smart.
What do you think about it, Stat Guy? Do you think it was a smart move by Boston to go after Porzingis?
I think it's a smart move for Boston in the short term because Porzingis is a more offensive-minded center as opposed to Greg Williams, who's not that much of an offensive-minded center, and that's kind of one of the problems that Boston had last year. You had Jaylen Brown, you had Jason Tatum, but you really didn't have much offensive production on the inside. Al Horford's getting old. Your center was missed, I think, 40 games with a knee injury, and when he did play, he wasn't giving you more than 10, 12 points per game, so at least Porzingis can give them that. He's a guy that can give you 18 to 20 a game. But they have to have another plan or at least another trick up their sleeve because with Malcolm Brogdon's health being a question, who's going into the season as their starting point guard? Because right now their starting point guard would be Malcolm Brogdon or Pritchard. And unless they have another trade in mind, I could see them maybe going after Fred VanVleet. I could see them possibly going after Chris Paul on a short-term deal, even though I don't think that would be the smartest decision on their minds either. But they have to have some other move or some other trade in mind to at least get them some sort of a point guard to replace Marcus Smart. Otherwise, I don't know what the point of the deal was if you're not going to bring in a point guard.
Yeah, I agree. That was the one reason I didn't care for the deal was because it's like you're getting rid of Smart, and now you have just Brogdon. Which don't get me wrong, Brogdon's a good point guard. His problem is being available, and he was 6th man of the year last year. But of course, in the playoffs, he tore that tendon in his arm, and his numbers started going down. And I mean, he could be your point guard if he's healthy. But yeah, I agree. I think VanVleet would be a good pickup for them. To put at that position, and if you have Brogdon and him kind of both sharing that point guard position with 1 and 2, I think that'd be a good fit for him. I like that better. I agree. I like that better than Chris Paul. I know a lot of people would like Chris Paul because of the name. I mean, but
he's so much older now that
and he has trouble. He has trouble staying on the court as well. So you pair him with Brogdon, now you have 2 point guards that have trouble staying on the court. So
right.
I think you want.
Really, what is the only real true ability Chris Paul has left that hasn't left him, and that's just the veteranship, the leadership, the ability to facilitate. Probably he still has, but like you said, he's older. Can he play the whole season? So there's a lot of what ifs, and it's like you said with Brogdon, the best ability is availability, and that's not something that he has. Neither one of them really have. So yeah, I agree with that. I think if they can get a VanVleet out of that, that would be a huge win for them.
And I think Chris Paul wants to stay out west. I think he wants to stay close to Los Angeles or over there with where he'd been all right with Phoenix. But I don't think he would really maybe want to move all the way to the other side of the country at this point in his career with his family and everything else he has going on.
Mm-hmm. Right. I don't blame him.
Hey, and I mean, what kind of money is he going to be able to get? You know what I mean? Is it going to be enough money to make him want to move across the country? You know what I mean? He's not. Right. I don't think he's going to get no real big time contract. Not at this point.
Yeah, a name that they're also talking about in Boston right now is Russell Westbrook.
Could you imagine Russell Westbrook in Celtic uniform?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that would really be that. I don't think it'd be a terrible move though. If he could fit in. The only thing is, if you have him on the court at the same time as Tatum and Brown, he's not that pass first type point guard. He you know what I mean, he likes to have that ball in his hand and wanting to score. And I think that was part of the Celtics' problem last year in the playoffs. I mean, don't get me wrong, they had some coaching mishaps and stuff as well, but there would be a large spurts, especially in the fourth quarter, where Tatum wouldn't even touch the ball. I mean, they get down on the offensive end, and the ball would never find Tatum at all. And if he's your star player, which he is, and you're in the playoffs, the ball has to be finding.
And that's the thing, though. For me, it's chemistry. Westbrook's always had a hard time with chemistry fitting in with teams that have, other superstars, right? And with Tatum and Brown, they're going to want that ball a lot, and Westbrook's going to want that ball a lot. And I just have a hard time seeing that chemistry developing.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, because they had problems with that this year with Tatum not getting the ball in the fourth quarter, and if you bring in a guy like Westbrook who's ball dominant as well, that could make that problem even worse.
Not to mention, probably the turnovers that he would be giving you as well, because Russell's still kind of turnover prone.
Do you think we're going to see any other big trades tonight? Even if it's not like to move up in the draft, just maybe players going other places, kind of like with the Porzingis trade last night, which I don't like the Porzingis trade. To me, if I was Boston, I'd have been concentrating on bringing in another point guard.
I agree. Totally.
I know people is like Dustin said that this will give maybe more offense from the center position, but I didn't think that was their biggest problem. If one problem was Williams does get hurt some, but he's such good on the defensive side down low. I think if they need a point guard, a facilitator, they need somebody to facilitate the offense. I think that's what they were missing the most. And they were missing. I'm going to say they were missing their coach, but more so they were missing having a coach that was able to run that team like they did the year before. And I'm not saying Missoula's not going to be able to, because I think Missoula will be. I think he's a good coach, and I think he's going to keep getting better. But it was his first year. He's a young guy, and there's a learning curve. I mean, I don't care who you are. Your first year at being the main guy, there's going to be some kind of a learning curve.
Oh, absolutely.
To find your groove and the style that works for you. Because you can't come in and try to be. He couldn't come in and try to be a Doka. That's not going to work. Because the players aren't going to buy that. You got to be yourself, and you got to find your style that all the players are going to buy into and believe in you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And also I want to point out when we were talking about trades and will there be, trades going on I just don't think so. And the reason why goes to about exactly what you were saying earlier, where this is not that deep of a draft. Matter of fact, after probably the number 4 pick, even he agrees with me. After the number 4 pick, it's pretty shallow waters all the way to the end of the draft. So I don't know why anybody would really want to trade for anything in this draft, because it's just not that deep. If they're going to trade for anything, it would be probably for picks and maybe in next year's draft. But I don't see this year's draft. So I don't foresee any trades outside of what we've already talked about really come to fruition in this draft.
All right.
Porzingis is close to a max deal, and do they really want to do that?
And Jaylen Brown, if I remember correctly, is up for a max deal this year, right? Or is it next year?
Yeah,
it's this year. And Tatum's already on a max deal, so I mean, and with these new CBA rules in the NBA, it's going to make it harder for these teams to keep that third big star because of this new tax they're putting on, and they put you to another level, and then you can start losing draft picks and other stuff if you're so far over that tax bracket that the way they're doing this, because the NBA's trying to get more parity or trying to get these some better players of some of these smaller market teams and stuff. And so with this new CBA they've made, it's going to be interesting to see if a team like the Celtics, if you're going to be able to afford to have all three of these guys. And if you do, okay, yeah, you figure out a way to afford them. Are you going to have any money left to put depth around them? And we saw that with the Phoenix Suns last year. Yeah, they had a good starting lineup, but they didn't have no bench, and we saw what happened when they got in the playoffs against a team that had depth. So
Right.
that's the other thing with these new CBA rules. It's going to make it hard to keep. If you get three big guys, stars that you're paying a lot of money like that, it's going to be hard to put quality bench players and role players around them.
Yeah, and I like what Mike said. Mike said he needs the Bulls to trade everybody, and he wants to know if the Rockets want Levine. No, I'm good. Hey, nothing wrong with Levine, but I just think what we're already doing. Yeah, Damian. My bad, Damian. I still feel kind of bad about that. Not really.
You know what he's talking about? You know why he said that, because John was calling Dustin Damian last night.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I totally. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Mike wants the Bulls to trade everybody.
Yeah, poor Mike, man. I feel bad for Mike. Hey, what 2 years ago, I think it was, that Mike was saying, hey, the Bulls are going to be the best team in the East. Before everybody started getting hurt. That's before they lost Lonzo Ball and, all the other guys. So poor Mike, man. He went from,
a couple years ago,
they
looked like they were going to, and then all the injuries and then they haven't been able to get going again. He said they'll give you Levine for a 2074 second round pick.
I think he meant to say 24, but you know what? I wouldn't even be alive in 2074. Hey, Mike, you were close. Hey, if it hadn't been for that injury bug, how far could Chicago have gone had they not had Lonzo Ball and everybody getting hurt? I mean, that team was looking pretty good for a while.
Yeah, they were. He said, no,
74. Just think of my bad. I guess I was wrong.
Because they were that. I mean, they got off to that hot start that year, and it wasn't like they were just beating nobody teams. I mean, they were playing. They looked like the best team in the East there for a good stretch, and then injury, and then it just kind of they haven't been able to get back to that the last couple seasons, and not at the same level, but we saw that last year with the Pacers. Pacers were looking competitive, looking good, playing with the better teams in the league, and then Halliburton gets hurt, and we go on like a 8 or 9 game losing streak, and Halliburton comes back, and we can never get that chemistry that we had before he got hurt. Going back again in the rest of our season was basically trash almost. You know what I mean? We can never get back to playing at that competitive level as we was before we had a couple of the injuries.
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, did you see that the NBA is looking at increasing the tax and the salary cap? So I wonder how long it's going to be before that will take effect.
That's what I was talking about. I forget when it takes effect, but they added a level on the tax where once you get up to a certain level, the penalties get harsher now. It's more money, and then if you're over a certain amount, you can lose draft picks. I mean, they're really trying to make it with this new CBA. They're trying to make it where there's more parity and some of the players get more spread out to some of the small
right rather than having all these super teams and stuff like that. Yeah, or these. I guess now they're like mega super teams.
Yeah, they're trying to make it harder to be able to get three big stars and be able to keep them all. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not exactly sure when the new CBA starts, but I'm wanting to say might be next season, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
And then the second thing I was going to say, the Pacers, you guys are in actually pretty decent shape. You got 4 picks in tonight's draft, and then you got 2 picks in next year's draft. So you could probably at least get 1 or 2. You should be able to get at least 1 or 2 good players to put with Mathurin and Halliburton. So I mean, there's still room for some good improvement on that Pacers squad.
Pacers because Pacers were a lot better last year than they were the year before. They just got to keep building. But You
Right.
said they have 4 picks. Are you counting that they traded away 2 of their picks yesterday?
I think I was. Yeah, I was.
They traded away
I will tell you right now. I know they got the number 7 pick. I will tell you right now. It's I just had it. Yeah, they got the 7, the 26th, the 40th. Because remember, that's where they traded. They traded? I think they were at like 39 or 38, 35, something like that. So they got 7, 26, 40, and then 55.
They traded 2 picks away for Nuggets first round pick next year.
Yeah, and that's what I got when I was reading that article about the trade with the Nuggets. That's what they were saying. So yeah, so now they got 7, 26, 40, and 55, and then next year you'll have 2 picks. So yeah, that's a good question. Who do you take at 7?
I don't know. I really thought. Now I said this soon as actually the night of the draft lottery. I thought the Pacers would either try to move up to maybe that third or 4th pick, or even maybe second, but at least the 3rd or 4th, or maybe move back because there's not a lot of depth in this draft. So are you going to be able to get a guy at 7 that's going to have an impact? I think they need to get. Personally, I think they need a power forward, or even I guess even a power forward that can rebound and play defense. Our biggest weakness last year wasn't scoring the ball. We were right there on top of the league in scoring. Hell, we were scoring 130 points a game. But the problem was we'd give up 135 to 140 points in a game and still lose scoring over 130 because we couldn't rebound. The only person we really had that rebounded was basically Miles Turner. We couldn't rebound in our defense, and we didn't play defense. So I think it'd be nice to get a guy like a power forward that can play defense, rebound. Hey, and if he's a 2-way player and can score, that's awesome. I mean, that'd be awesome. But rebounding and defense is to me is where the Pacers really need to get better at.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like a couple of mock drafts have you guys taking Taylor Hicks out of UCF, that power forward, like you were talking about. He does play defense, so that could help you on that defensive end that you were speaking on.
Yeah. Me and Dad have talked about him. I think that's who we both would kind of like for them to go with.
The question is, where do you at number 20? Who do you take when you get down to the later rounds? You know, is there going to be anybody? And again, these are gambles, right? Like you said, because the draft is so shallow that anything you draft, after that number 7 pick, you're just taking shots in the wind, and hopefully at least maybe one out of those 3 picks, will pan out for you. And it could. You never know. Look, and I'm not by no means about saying Joker is in this draft, but I'm just saying, they did get Joker at 41. So it doesn't mean that maybe somebody in those later rounds or those later, numbers,
Didn't you say the Pacers had the 40th pick? Hey, right there, we're going to find us a Jokic, damn it. We're going to find us a Jokic.
And if you do, I want you to issue me a thank you, and a thank you. And Tony, I know you're listening. If they do, you make sure Gonzo gives me my props, my flowers, okay? Don't let him skimp out on me. Oh, the Reds. What a time to be alive.
NBA draft is what? 8 o'clock tonight?
Yeah, I believe it's 8 o'clock. And I believe that's 8 o'clock Eastern. So that'd be 7 o'clock Central, my time. So yeah, I believe it's 8 o'clock your time.
Nobody cares about Central time. Eastern time's the real damn time.
Okay, sure. Well, and it really kind of is. No, it really is, because you got to remember. I mean, that's what I say. It does kind of make sense. I will give you that, because logically speaking, the East Coast is the latest of everybody. So the West Coast has to take the East Coast into consideration and time schedule. Because if they try to do it at 8 o'clock, freaking West Coast time. Well, hell, that's going to be damn near midnight on the East Coast. So yeah, I guess you're right. The East Coast is the time. So if that makes you feel better and it grows 3 or 4 inches on your height, okay, I'm with it. Hey, let me ask you this. You said I'm going to the horse track. Hey, let me ask you this, man. We didn't really talk a whole lot about it, but this Bradley Beal going to the Suns, like, what do you think about that? Like, what is it? Because I keep hearing some people talking about how, and I see it all over Facebook, man, where they're saying the Suns are the next big team, which obviously that was another trade that happened. Where do you see the Suns fitting in the West Coast come next year? Are they like a top 7, top 5, top 4?
I think they'll be a playoff team, but as they're currently constructed now, it's hard for me to say that they're the best team in the league, like some of these guys are saying, because for one, I think they got 5 players under contract right now, maybe 6.
Right.
And we saw last year. Last year they had a good starting lineup. I mean, last year you had Booker, you had Durant, you had Ayton, you had Paul. I know that they didn't play a whole lot of games together because the trade happened after the All-Star break late in the season. Then Durant gets hurt, misses time, so they didn't have time to build chemistry. So I do get that. But if you look in the playoffs, and they were one of the teams that gave Denver probably the most. You could say the most trouble. They did win the 2 games in a row against them, but their lack of depth on that bench killed them. And with paying Bill, and you're paying Booker and Durant and Ayton has a big contract, paying all that, are you going to be able to put a bench around these guys that can be productive and help these guys?
Right.
And that's where I think they're going to have trouble doing that. For one, people say, well, you can get a lot of these guys on vet minimums. Okay, but how many of these vet minimum guys are going to be able to come in and play a whole season, not get injured, and be able to put up enough numbers to help out your starting lineup? And how's your rotation going to work? How many minutes are you going to have to play Booker and Bill and Durant and Ayton to stay in games? Because
that's kind of what I was thinking too. I feel like, yeah.
If you watch the Suns play in the playoffs, there was times when they would take Booker or Durant out. That's hell against like the Nuggets. They take them guys out, and then the Nuggets go on like a 15-0 run, and now you're in a big hole that these guys have to try to dig themselves out of. So. And if you're playing against a team like the Nuggets or some of these other teams that have depth, it's going to be hard because their bench players can come in and just run over your bench players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hey, this is my boy Rob Scott. Scott.
Hey, I missed y'all. What's going on? I missed y'all.
Hey, listen, man. We finally got it cranked back up, man. So, this is like the episode 1 after about a 3-week hiatus.
Everybody been busy. You know what I'm saying?
It has been crazy. It has been crazy.
It was actually almost exactly a month because when I was making the graphic today, the last graphic that was made was on May 19th, and today's June 22nd. So it was almost
that's crazy. It's almost been a month. Let me ask you this: before Rob gives his thoughts on the draft or what we can expect out of it, does Phoenix even have a draft pick in this draft? Because I was looking and I didn't see anything in the first round.
If they got Bradley Beal, they don't have a draft pick.
Because I didn't think so either. I thought they'd give it. No, you're right. You're right. Because I thought they'd given up those picks as well. So I guess, Rob, what we're talking about is Phoenix is obviously 1 through 5 in the starting rotation. Nice. But when you look at the bench, it's like no man's land. So So, I mean, like, what is the true expectation for Phoenix this year when they don't have a bench?
Well, right now they don't even have a bench because they only have like 6 players on the roster.
Yeah. I mean, if you just going by the starters, the starting lineup, they look good on paper. But like you said, everybody got to get a rest. And we know historically, Kevin Durant gets hurt during the season, and Bradley Beal gets hurt during the season.
Right.
So that's what they have to think about.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal hasn't played a full season as well. Now, him having a Devin Booker and Kevin Durant out there is going to take the pressure off everybody. But let's just be honest. Like you said, if they any little money that they have left over, whether it is in some draft stock or whatnot, they have to focus on getting the bench, And there's some good bench players out there on free agency right now. And not to mention, you still do have that ace in the hole in DeAndre Ayton. Do you really need him at this point? I forgot what analyst. What's my guy named? Colin Coward. He brought up a great point that maybe you get rid of DeAndre Ayton and you go get you a defensive center because they don't really need scoring. Denver can take. Phoenix can take care of scoring just with KD, Bradley Beal, and D Book.
They really just need guys to give those main stars breaks so they can rest. Because you're not playing Durant 40 plus every night. That, like you said, he'll be out the lineup in the first 2 weeks. He'll be hurt or doing load management or whatever.
And my other thing with the Suns is, are they going to be good enough defensively? Because that was the thing that hurt them some last year after they made that trade and got rid of Bridges and some of the guys that were kind of their defensive stoppers. But I think even on their bench players, I agree with Rob. If you get rid of Ayton, then maybe you could bring in a guy that's more of a defensive guy and a rebounder. You don't need the offense because of you got so many points right now in your starting lineup.
Yeah. The problem is what guy out there would be available that you could bring in.
You could do a trade with Minnesota, get Gobert. You can be on the phone right now calling Taiwan and asking Dwight Howard to make an appearance back in the NBA.
Hey, I get you. Hey, Dwight, come on back, baby. Let's go.
I've heard that the Suns have contacted the Pacers about trying to see if they could get that Miles Turner and Hield combination trading. That the Pacers aren't even answering the phone. Is what I've heard.
I already went straight to voicemail.
I think at one point
don't need Ayton. We avoided
at one point in time, though, the Pacers wanted Ayton, and then Phoenix matched it. So if I'm Indiana, I'm like, you got to come with something.
Oh, absolutely. The problem is like Gonzo was saying, I don't think the Pacers are wanting to come with somebody. So I think the Phoenix Suns are kind of dug themselves into a hole. And I think the only way that they can even kind of have a chance this season is what you said, Rob, and that's to go and see what free agents are out there on the market that they can plug into this team. If nothing else, just to give their superstars, periods of rest and hold down the fort until they can come back, and play and continue their minutes. So I think that's what you're looking for, Rob. I think you're looking for guys that are good enough to hold down the fort long enough to give those guys breaks when they need their breaks.
Or you can take Ayton, you go talk to New York. Maybe you might be able to get Mitchell and get an RJ Barrett out the deal.
Yeah. That's a possibility. Or could you give Ayton, and I don't know if they'd want that, but maybe even a Randall. Maybe you get Randall out of it.
I don't want Randall. Randall to me. No, don't get me wrong.
I got you.
Unbelievable.
But if I'm the Knicks, I'm giving up Randall before I give up Barrett.
Facts.
And the great thing about Randall is Randall can give you good games, but then he also can give you bad games. You just don't know what Randall you're getting any given night. You just don't know.
That's the problem. See, Randall, one of those guys, once he's not engaged in the game in any way in a scoring capacity, he's not engaged at all. He needs to
Right.
score to be himself. And he has to understand that's not your primary function anymore.
Yeah.
That's why we went to go get Jalen Brunson.
Right. And ain't no way in hell if Randall came to Phoenix that he's going to get that scoring opportunity with all the superstar scorers that they have. I mean, that's just almost going to be almost.
Oh, you think he complaining and moaning now?
Hey, I don't even think he dresses out. I think he just sits in the locker room waiting for the night to end. He can go back home and chill.
Play sitting there just pouting. So when is going to be my turn? You don't get no turn on this team. And that's why I'm saying.
That's right, though. That's right.
You're going to need an egoless center. And that's why I say you get somebody like a Rudy Gobert, because if you honestly look at it, him and Aiden contract kind of meshes. So you can go get you somebody that's just blocking shots, who's okay with getting rebounds. You know, not saying Gobert is the best, but, you know, he might actually benefit from playing in a team with a team like Phoenix. You know what I mean? As opposed to
absolutely.
Minnesota.
And I'm damn sure that Minnesota would more than be happy to welcome in Ayton and get rid of Gobert.
He's definitely a step up. You know what I mean? Especially you think about it, Cat wants to play at the perimeter. Cat doesn't want to really bang down low. So him and Aiden are going to give each other space, and Aiden will get a lot more touches. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think you got to imagine, at least I got to imagine, that Minnesota is having buyer's remorse on that trade for Gobert. So I think they would be more than happy to get rid of Gobert, bring in a guy like Ayton, like you said, that would mesh better with Karl Anthony Towns. So, yeah, I agree with that.
It's NBA time soon, baby. It just left, and I'm ready for it to come back.
Bro, you have no idea. I am so ready to see what Udoka can do with this Rockets team. I mean, there ain't nowhere we can go but up at this point, right? I mean, we're sitting like, third from last place? Hey, we can only go up from here, baby. And I think Udoka can do that. I think he can, get the right guys, or I think he can get the buy-in from the guys to gel, to get on the same page. I hope
going to help the Houston. Udaka's going to help out the Houston strip club business.
Hey,
hey, listen,
upgrade.
And I'm okay with the economy in Houston.
Hey, if he needs some help, you know the call. Hey, but you know what though? I never thought I said this in my life. I'm excited to see what this Boston team looks like.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. We didn't even get your weigh in on the Porzingis side of it.
I take it you like the trade that they made?
I do. I think what Boston got in the habit of shooting too many perimeter shots, and not to say Porzingis is not going to take his fair share, but Porzingis will go down low and back. He will go down there and he'll get you some nice post ups. You now bring a different avenue of a pick and roll game, something that you didn't have. Al Horford's more of a pick and pop. Robert Williams will roll to the hole sometime, but he's limited in what he can do. And now you take some pressure off Star-Lord, because now you have another legit 7-footer there. So if he gets injured, hopefully Porzingis can fill in. But again, the common thing with these players in today's league is injury problems. Guys can't stay healthy. And you know what they say, the best ability is availability, and a lot of these guys ain't been available.
Hey, I said that earlier in the show. I'm glad you said that.
Look at that, Jay. Look, see, Jay, we here, baby.
We right here. Hey.
Robert Williams has had problems staying healthy. Porzingis has had problems staying healthy too.
Yeah.
I think.
But what did you really think about them losing Smart?
Boston can't be done though, because getting rid of Smart, I think they need a point guard, because you got Brogdon, but can Brogdon stay healthy? He was with the Pacers for 4 or 5 years, had back issues. Now he tore something in his arm. Don't get me wrong, I like Brogdon. He's a hell of a player. He was 6th man of the year, and I think he's a real solid point guard. But can you depend on him to be your starting point guard and be healthy all season? So I think they need to make a move to get another guard.
Yeah, and not to mention, you got to think about it from this aspect too. Derek White really stepped up in the playoffs. And he made a name for himself in Boston. So now Boston was guard heavy. It's like somebody got to go, and unfortunately, it was Marcus Smart. But I think it works out for both teams, because now you look on the Memphis side of things. that have a lack of point guard, because I think they just got rid of Tyus Jones. I think he was part of that trade.
Yeah, Tyus Jones went to the Wizards, I believe.
Right. So now you bring in a Marcus Smart, who is a former Defensive Player of the Year. You pairing him with the current Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson. Memphis just got a hell of a lot better, at least defensively.
Especially when they get job back as well.
Are you talking about the gunslinger?
That really helps.
Oh, my bad. I said that out loud.
Hey, let me ask you a question. And this is really kind of an offbeat question, but I just want to talk about Dylan Brooks just for a second. Since we were talking about Memphis, does he land with anybody? Do you think he has another shot at a career?
For sure.
Yeah.
He I'm not saying we all know without any stretch of imagination, he's nowhere near the best shooter in the world. But he's a 3-and-D guy. He's a guy that can play defense. He can hit some open shots. He's one of those guys that can get stupid hot and stupid cold. Right. So, I mean, you look at a team like maybe Sacramento. You look at a team like Golden State, somebody that needs to bring some toughness in. He's going to get picked up on a roster.
Yeah. And speaking of Golden State, where do you see Draymond landing? Or because Dunleavy said that Dunleavy still thinks that he's going to stay with Golden State, that he's not going anywhere. But what do y'all think?
I think right now Golden State is saying all of the right things, because you don't want Draymond to feel alienated. You don't want Draymond to feel like nobody on his team wants him. And of course, we know that the star player on this team is Steph Curry, who, you know, he just makes it look Steph-less. I had to throw that in there. But the star player of this team, Steph Curry, has a brotherhood with Draymond. I mean, we saw during the season, he actually checked Jordan Poole for not shaking Draymond's hand or listening to what Draymond had to say. So as long as your star player wants you, you know, the problem is going to be, you know, how do we move this money around to kind of give Draymond as close as he wants, you know, because now it's not a prove it deal. It's a proved it deal, so to speak. You know, and this is for what you've already done for us. This is for all the pay cuts that you have taken for us. We're going to look out for you now. We're going to get you the proper money that you want. He's not going to get the number he wants. He's not going to get that from any team.
Right.
But Golden State is going to find a way to pay him.
Yeah, because that was what I was curious about the most. Even if they went to free agency, everybody going to give him over $20 million?
Oh, no, he's not going to get that kind of money from anybody.
He might get 15 or 18, you know. They're going to figure out a way to give him something, because Draymond, you got to remember, out of everybody who took the sacrifices for Golden State to get KD and all that stuff, Draymond took the hit the hardest, you know. And I think that Golden State is one of those organizations, especially with Steve Kerr there, and now you bring in Dunleavy Jr., who's trying to keep everybody happy. They're gonna try their best to say, hey, Draymond, thank you. And they're gonna give him something. You know, now it's gonna be up to other teams to match it or go higher. You know what I mean?
See, last night when we were talking about this a little bit, Stat Guy had said something about that Steph Curry had said that he didn't want Draymond there, and that's why he thought Draymond wasn't going to be there. I hadn't seen that.
I don't know. I don't know nothing about that, because Steph Curry absolutely love. I think Steph Curry and Draymond get along better than Steph and Clay do. I really think they're the ones who have the brotherly dynamic. Not to mention, statistically speaking, shout out to my boy.
Do you think they move off of Jordan Poole?
Yeah, somebody gonna have to go. You can't keep Draymond and Jordan Poole at the same time. But you know, statistically speaking, too, Steph plays better when Draymond is on the floor. He just does. And Jordan Poole didn't show us nothing last year. He was a complete fraud in the playoffs. I mean, the dude couldn't hit the other side of the damn water.
It's kind of funny because earlier before that, he was doing well.
Draymond knocking his ass out. The brain bouncing around. He didn't have his calibration right.
Hey, it was something. You know, that was a mean hook thrown by Draymond.
Boy, Draymond did not hold back at all.
Hey, that was a Canelo punch.
Jordan Poole was he was seeing three rims and he wasn't aiming for the middle.
Hey, I'm telling you, You might look up. Jordan Poole might be the next person on that Phoenix roster.
Hey, Jay Ness just commented on what I was saying. Randall for Ayton.
Hey, that's because Randall, man, you know what I'm saying? He's one of those players. You know how you have some great players that have skill and will. Randall has skill with absolutely no will.
No will. None.
No will.
Now, I'm telling you, hey, the day they were passing out Hart, he definitely skipped the line.
Oh yeah, man. You know, and I can't stand players like that. I cannot. That's one of my pet peeves, man. You get paid all of this money to play a child's game. You know, as Charles Barkley would eloquently put it, and yet you still find something to bitch and moan about. Excuse my language. It's just, dude, you're gonna get the ball. You got to put yourself in positions to get the ball. But you're a 7-footer. If you're not getting the touches that you want, get your big ass down there and go rebound. Why don't you play some defense? Show me how bad you want to win this game. And, you know, it's too many times we've seen Julius Randle just take a big fat L, and that's because he don't got it in here. He got this, but he ain't got
absolutely. You know, it's interesting. Very rarely do we get the Chicago connection on the show, but today we got the Chicago connection. I think we got the East and the West.
There ain't nothing East.
No, we got the North and the South.
Oh, the North. Is it the North? Okay, look, y'all know Chicago better than I do, so I'm going to go with what you're saying, North and South. Okay. Woo, North and South, eh? I wonder who's in the North. Would that be Rob Scott's in the North and
straight South Side over here.
Okay. Okay. I got so Mike Hughes is a Northern guy. That's what's up.
But Mike Hughes is always, and I mean always, welcome to the barbecue. Always. Hey, all he gotta do is hit my line and say, "Rob, I'm at the gate. I'll meet you up there."
Well, if I ever come to Chicago, I'm bringing the pork ribs. Okay, y'all better open up the gates for me too. Damn it,
Jay! All you gotta do is hit the line. Hit the line.
He ain't walking in with me.
He walking in with me, and I'm walking in with my arm around him. Y'all say what up to my boy Jay?
Jay will get in, but I feel like Jay will get kicked out very quickly later. So he ain't walking in with me.
Oh no, Jay. Hey, let me tell you how Jay roll. When Jay gonna come down with the hat down low.
Jay needs to stop
speaking in the hand, and he's gonna. You ever seen Seinfeld and the Soup Nazi? No, I'm getting my soup. Damn it.
Actually, I have seen Seinfeld. I didn't like it.
Hey, the whole thing about the Soup Nazi, you don't make eye contact. You just look at the ground, act like you belong.
Made it out the hustle. Gotta make that money.
You know what the beautiful thing is? All you got to do is you gonna blend right in. Once everybody get to drinking, we chilling.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, that's a wonderful thing. The whole world should know. If you want to have peace across the United States and across the world, just everybody have a sippy cup. We'll be okay. Everything can be worked out.
Got it out the hustle. Got it out the muscle.
Hey, man.
Gucci on my buckle.
Well, what y'all think though, man? I see a lot of analysts are starting to say what I've been saying about Wembanyama.
My stomach hurt
when they telling people to slow down on the hype. Slow down. We got to see him play some grown men first.
Hey, Rob. So Jay Ness chimes in with, "Hey, how about those Diamondbacks?" I don't think Jay Ness understands the minute you say the word Diamondbacks or any baseball team, hey, it goes quiet.
I don't want to talk about baseball. Rob's gonna leave.
I was about to say, how about them Reds?
Hey, how about them Reds?
Playing some good baseball right now. We gotta keep it up.
Got it off the muscle.
Hey, but how about the Cubs too, though? Hey, Mike. Hey, I see what your Cubs are doing down there. You guys are looking up.
They just got a good win against the Pirates.
Yeah, I do not care at all. It means nothing to me. So 2 weeks from now, they'll lose 5 straight. So I don't.
Hey, listen, Mike. My Astros just came off a 5-game losing streak. We took 2 from the Mets. So I know what you mean. It's a weird year.
Hey, me and Mike Hughes, we waiting on Bear Town now. It's Bear Country now.
Bear country.
This is bear country now.
Right. We got the
true,
draft though. We got the draft though coming up 6
Yes,
days
Lord.
away.
Yes,
Connor
Lord.
Bedard holding the mantle. New Patrick Kane in town. I'm rocking with it. He's 17, so I'm praying for him because their media is gonna kill that kid alive. But I'm rooting for him.
But to Rob's point about Wembanyama, everybody says he's going to be the number 1 pick, and I'm sure he will be. But you guys think there's a chance that he could be a bust?
No, kind of. It depends how you define bust. I don't think his play will scream bust, but I think his health could definitely scream that. Kind of like Chet. People forgot Chet was even in the league at OKC. I saw that in the comments the other day. He posted something on Instagram, and somebody was like, "Damn, forgot you were even in the league, bro."
Hey, because that was exactly the point I made, Mike.
I feel the same way about Zion. I'm like,
well, that's true too. No,
yeah,
but
there's only one reason I know Zion's still in the league, and that's
because Mariah Mills.
Hey, no, but seriously, the way Wembanyama is built, he's built just like Chet Holmgren. They're both skinny as hell, and you saw how long Chet lasted. I mean, he's got to put on some weight, something.
Nah, I mean, I think Victor's in a class of his own because Chet isn't the player that Victor is. Like, Victor doesn't have to be big, and obviously he's going to have to be because that's, you're over 7 feet tall, you're going to have to play big. But Victor's a shooter too. Victor doesn't need to be in the paint. Victor doesn't need to clash against.
Hold on, but Mike, the whole thing about him was, number one, he's a great defender. He can block shots, but how do you block shots if you get your ass banged out of the paint?
Let me tell you this. Here's how he blocks shots. He's so long with his length, he can block 3-point shots. But
if he's getting banged out,
I've seen him block 3-point shots. I've seen him block
can't because of his length. Yeah, because of his length. Even I've seen him block step back threes because of his length.
Yeah,
he gives guards a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I've seen especially with how short the guards are. I mean, look at Rob
So if you got Joker going down low, Wembanyama thinks he's going to try to guard Joker.
That's different. That's not different. It's not different.
How is it? Hold on now. At the center position, how does he guard the Giannis's, the Embiids, the Jokers down low? How is that even possible?
Okay, so he's gonna be able to box out Joker very easily because me and Joker have the same amount of athleticism in our body, and I think that's something that's going to separate that. Now, Joel and Giannis is going to be an athletic difference, but you're going to talk about injury prone, and Joel's the same boat. I don't care how much bigger Joel is.
I agree that Joel's injury.
Giannis will be a problem. Guys like Zion could be a problem, but guys who LeBron James at 38 would be a problem, but it's something to where you're naming forwards, and this kid's going to be playing the center position. So there's not a lot of centers right now that I would say are big. You look at the Steven Adams of the world, cool, but are they athletic enough to keep up with Wembanyama? So I think that's something right now that I think I'm going to give the kid some love. It's his rookie year. I'm not going to kill him if he does get bodied by somebody, catches a couple posters, but oh my God, he looks like a Cheeto. But it's you all types of orange.
I'm orange.
And I agree with you, Mike. I think he'll be able to use his speed and athleticism a lot on defense to make up for some of the strength. But I also think you give him a couple of years, you're going to see his body transform some. Look at Giannis. Look, Giannis looked like a toothpick when he came in the league. Look at his body now.
Look at Jokic.
And there's other small players too. Yeah, Jokic.
Hi, Mrs. J.
But I also look at guys like Manu Bol that never were able to put on weight too. And how long did they last?
I hear that.
Manu Bol isn't the athlete that he is.
I'm not saying that the athlete. I'm just talking about the body type, the frame. I'm talking about the frame.
But and I hear that especially about Victor. But I think it's one of those conversations where we always say, "Well, this is how it worked for this guy, and this is how it worked for that guy." Like, I don't care how it worked for any of them. This is Victor, and this is how he's going to be treated. And until he shows me he can't put on weight, then that's going to be a conversation. But I'm not going to be mad at him because Bol can't gain 3 pounds.
Right. Oh yeah, and trust me, everybody knows that Jay McLovin wanted Victor at number 1. I was the biggest problem, and I'm still upset that we didn't get an opportunity. So I get it.
Rob, do you think that he's going to be a bust? What do you think about Wembanyama?
Wembanyama, I don't know if he'll be a bust. I'm just not jumping on the hype train yet.
Right.
He does have a unique skill set, though. He kind of
Crackhead.
reminds me of a slower KD in a way, because he can handle the ball for a guy with his size.
I like that.
He has a nice jumper. He can shoot, stretch out with the 3 ball, and he has a nice little fadeaway game. And to his defensive point, I've seen guards get him with a pump fake, but he's so long that he can get to you on the second jump. So,
and Rob, I know you the Curry man in the building. You're always my Curry man. But if there's a matchup of Steph Curry and Victor, I'm taking Victor respectfully, because you get smaller guards in this league are becoming more and more common, and I think that's something that he could use to his advantage. Even if there's a situation where, hey man, you got to deal with this big. Well, if we get another big too, if they sign a Steven Adams, if they sign a Nikola Vucevic or somebody along those lines to kind of just mentor him and be a big next to him, maybe he plays power forward for a little bit until his body comes into being a center.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I said that last night. Maybe Victor should play the 4 position where he doesn't have to bang down low in the paint. And then Gonzo was there when I said it. So I'm glad you said that. See, I knew. I can see that. Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, I don't want him to. I'd rather him playing center, but I wouldn't be mad about it if they did it.
But until he gets the weight on, until he gets the weight on, that's not a bad idea, though. Right.
Look at what they do in Minnesota guys, with like Cat. Cat plays the 4. You know what I mean?
Not well, but he does.
Hey, Mike, and even all you guys, man. I don't know if y'all saw that, but Scoot Henderson, for whatever reason, Scoot Henderson feels like he should be the number 1 guy.
He should be. And you know what? In any other draft class, he would be. But it's just, you're in a class right now where this guy is a generational type prospect, and Scoot Henderson is not a generational type prospect. But I love the work ethic that this guy has. I love everything he does. He works with Steph Curry. He works with other shooters. He's trying to shoot the lights out of the ball. He's definitely better than Brandon Miller or whatever that other kid's name is. Hey, God strike me down if that kid ends up being better than Scoot. But the conversation of the Hornets not taking Scoot at 2 is ridiculous to me, because
there's a lot of controversy right now, but because they are seriously weighing to take Miller over Scoot or Scoot over Miller. And I've heard it so many different ways. So I agree with you, Mike. I think.
I think LaMelo is also one of those guys. Gonzo and I have talked about it. Man, we talked about it all last summer, especially when Pride was on the show and he kept screaming LiAngelo Ball is the best ball brother. But when you look at guys like LiAngelo's a forward. When you look at guys like Lonzo, he's a straight point guard. He's not a two-way guy. You look at LaMelo, you could put LaMelo at the 2. I don't think that's a problem. LaMelo did it a long time in Lithuania. He did it in Chino Hills. He does it very well. He's just a great playmaker. Now, if Scoot can potentially move to the 2, I think that's a great conversation. But you could also put LaMelo at the 2 as well, and I don't think you would really miss a beat. And I still think LaMelo would be the prime ball handler in that position, kind of like with Draymond right now. Draymond's at the 4, but he's coming up with the ball the majority of the time. Not anymore, but whatever. That's a whole different thing. But yeah, I'm excited about it. And also, Gonzo, I did want to give you some love. Ellie De La Cruz is a fucking psycho, and I love it. And I'm so happy for you. I'm very happy for you, man. I'm very happy.
Hey, don't forget Abbott. That pitcher, Abbott. Hey, I saw that guy pitch, and he's looking really damn nice too.
He's looking good, but Ellie De La Cruz is just he's electric to watch. He hit a ball to first base. He hit a ball to first base the other day and beat it out. It's like it's speed.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I saw that play, and I still can't believe he outbeat that pitch.
He's just a monster. He's a monster athlete. It's so dope to see. I watched him a lot because I obviously, and Dustin obviously can probably say he watched him a lot too and attest to that. But me watching Pete Crow Armstrong over the last couple years play in the Cubs minor league system, seeing Ellie De La Cruz go against after him every day is just so much fun. And I think the NL Central is going to be very, very deep in the next couple of years when all these teams are coming up. You got Jack Sawinski, Pete Crow Armstrong, Ellie De La Cruz, Nolan Arenado. You know, it's just, and then, man, whatever the fuck the Brewers are doing. But what, you know,
and the Reds have a couple other rookies in McLean that's playing real well. Steer. I mean, so
actually, I take that back though. I did see the Brewers have a top 3 prospect in all of baseball right now, so I do take that back. If that kid becomes something, strike me down. But whatever. But yeah, man, I'm excited.
Stat guy, what's your thoughts on Wembanyama and Henderson?
I'm not sold on Wembanyama. Kind of the same argument that I made with Chet Holmgren last year. I
Right.
said coming into the draft last year, and Mike, you even gave me the props for it right away when it happened, that Paolo Banchero was the most NBA-ready prospect in that draft last year.
Yeah.
And he deserved to go number 1. I'm saying the same thing about Scoot Henderson right now. Scoot Henderson is the most NBA-ready prospect in this draft class. And he deserves to go number 1 because of that reason. The only reason that Wembanyama is going to go number 1 is because his size, his athleticism, and his potential, where if you're a general manager and you pass this man up at number 1 and he turns into be a superstar, you're not getting another job, you're fired.
Right.
You cannot risk not taking this guy because of his potential, but I don't think he's the best prospect in this class. I think it is Scoot Henderson.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's kind of like the conversation of MJ going at 2. Like,
Yep.
at the moment, it's whatever, who cares? And then a couple years go by and you're like, okay, yeah, you got to go. I think you should go home, clock out for me real quick. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think both guys are going to be great players. It's going to be a lot of fun. The one I'm not sold on, he's the RJ Barrett of this class to me, is Miller. I talked to Dustin about that a little bit. He's just kind of one of those guys that I think he's solid. I think he's a role player, and not like a 8 to 9 on the bench. Like, I think he could be a solid 6-man. But at this very moment, I really don't see him being like a huge difference maker, a franchise caliber guy like we usually see in a top.
You're talking about the one from Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Just keep him away from Ja Morant.
Yeah, man. But
And Miller, if you watched him in the NCAA tournament, he struggled in the NCAA tournament with Alabama this season. I know he had stuff going on, but hey, there's going to be times you're going to have to play when everything isn't perfect, and you need to be at form. And he really didn't show that in the NCAA tournament. I agree with Mike. I think he might be like a 4 or 5, 6 player on a team, but I don't think he's one of your top like 2 or 3 stars on a team. Could he develop in that? Maybe, but right now he hasn't showed that to me yet.
Yeah.
If I missed something, I'm sorry.
Any other NBA draft stuff you guys want that we haven't talked about? Anybody want to talk about?
Yeah, I do. But Dustin's gonna
What you
start
got,
an
Mike?
argument with me. Man, trade all the. Can I swear? Can I swear today?
No, you cannot. No swear. We are turning a new leaf over here at ASAP. We're keeping it clean.
I'm gonna keep it as clean as possible. Trade all these mother heifers right now. I don't want to see Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Kobe White. I don't want to see nobody. Patrick Beverly can stay. Patrick Beverly can stay just because he makes me laugh. But everybody else, bye. I don't care. If you could get Scoot, get Scoot. Put Zach LaVine and LaMelo Ball together. Make it a beautiful thing. Here, have Zach LaVine. You want to win now? Win now. Cool. Whatever. We'll give us Michael Jordan back. You can have the 2nd round pick. We can do whatever we want to do. And Gonzo, I meant this earlier. I will give you a 2074 2,074 round pick. Just take Zach LaVine, bro. Just take him. I'll do you one better. I will give you
the Rocket.
a pick.
You can go to the Rockets. Let Jay have.
Hey.
We don't need him with the patience.
We're good. We're good over here. We're good.
Are you?
Yeah, man. Look, I'm still trying to get rid of Wall.
Man, he ain't even there. That's crazy.
I'm just saying. Hey, look, I'll tell you what. I'll give you John Wall in exchange for Zach LaVine. I'll make that trade with you.
I already have a point guard that can't play, sir. But but no, like Dustin and I got into this last night, and this is my point. I see where Stat Guy's coming from. I see where all Bulls fans are coming from, where, hey, we need to make this work. But this is not the fault of Arturas. And the same with the Chicago White Sox. I'm not a White Sox fan, but let's be real about the situation. It's not Rick Hahn's fault either. You look at Jerry World. You look at Jerry Reinsdorf as an owner. It is not first place or last place. It is middle of the pack, so we sell enough tickets. And that's what they're doing. That's how they've set up the Chicago White Sox. That's how they've set up the Chicago Bulls. And that's what they've been doing the last 20-plus years before they got lucky enough in 2005 to win a championship, then fell off the face of the earth. And then before they got Derrick Rose with a 1% chance where they had no business even getting Derrick Rose. And Jimmy Butler, who became Jimmy Butler. So I'm not praising them for that. And that's something that I think when you look at it, to me, I don't want to be in the middle. I am tired of the middle. That's why I'm so happy for the Bears. Rob Scott, whatever Rob Scott's doing, we're hype about the Bears because the Bears said, fuck it. We're not going to be 8-8 anymore. We're not going to be a wild card exit. We are literally going to be dog shit and do everything we can to be dog shit so that way we could be great. That way we could be one of the greats. And the Bulls sit here and they go, hey, man, aren't you excited to be another play-in exit again? Man, I can't wait to get bodied by Milwaukee. Or I can't wait to get bodied by Jimmy Butler after you told him he wasn't worth anything. And now he bodies Zach LaVine, who has what, Dustin? 13 points in an elimination game? Go fuck yourself, bro. I just gave you $200 million. You have 13 points in an elimination game. The MVP of the Bulls in the play-in was DeMar's fucking daughter. I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to hear any of it, bro. Like,
hey, let me ask you, hey, Mike, is Lonzo Ball's career over? Is he done in the NBA?
As a Chicago Bull, I think he's done. To Dustin's point, and to the point Dustin and I think we've come to an agreement on.
He's done.
I mean, you could say, and that's where I disagree, is he's 23. So I'm not going to say
25 this year, though.
I think he's 24, 25, something like
he's
that.
Like 3 years without seeing the court by January.
So you're 25. I'm not going to say that never in the rest of your life will you play an NBA game. I believe he probably plays an NBA game again. I just don't think it's going to be as the Lonzo Ball we all knew. And I think it's going to be a shell of himself. It's not going to be good. I hope Lonzo comes back. And I hope Lonzo is the best version of himself at some point, even if it's not as a Bull. Like, I've always loved Lonzo. Lonzo's always had a special place with me because obviously we grew up watching him, watched him grow up before our eyes. And him and LaMelo and even Jello, like, I wish the best for all of them. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the fuck Jello's up to nowadays, but I think he's still in the G League. But I stop laughing. Leave him alone. But I think it comes down to it for me where it's like Lonzo as a Chicago Bull to me is where I agree with Dustin. It's done. Like, there's not going to be, at least on this contract, and there won't be a next, because why would they re-sign him to another contract after what they just went through now? You got 20 games out of him in 4-year deal or 3-4-year deal, whatever it was. And it's a conversation to where I think at some point, like I told Dustin, we got LeBron James, who's 38 years old, still in the league, a 40-year-old who just went to the finals. Maybe somehow, some way, if everything goes right, and we don't know what 3-4 years could even look like. We don't even know what next week could look like for Lonzo Ball. At some point, I think he's going to play again, but it is not going to be as a Chicago Bull. I hope it is. I genuinely, like, I hope somehow by September it's a totally different conversation. And hey, Lonzo's coming back at maybe halfway through the season. Maybe it's a different look. But I'm not putting any eggs in that basket.
Kind of what you said.
That's sad too.
It is. It is sad. It's a horrible thing. And Bulls fans that are shitting him on it for it, my bad, Dustin, but Bulls fans who are on Lonzo's dick about it, like, dude, he might never play the game he loves again. He might never even run straight ever again. Like, how do you think he feels talking about, oh, he's just stealing money? That's not the case at all. This guy got a medical procedure from a doctor of his organization, and they fucked it up. I can't be mad at Lonzo about that. You gave him nerve damage.
Right.
Why am I mad? Why am I mad at Zoe? What the fuck? Now, if it's a LiAngelo Ball conversation, then sure, I'm pissed. But it's like, it's not. And that's like even the same thing with Derrick Rose. Like, I'm not mad at Derrick Rose because Tibbs was a fucking Nazi about so many different things. And sure, maybe I get canceled for saying that, but he was. He's making you play 40 minutes when you're up 20 points in a playoff game, and then you tear your ACL, and it's like, oh no. And it's like, no shit, bro. Why the fuck are you in the game?
Back to
let me ask you this. Hey, so if you're LeVar Ball, how disappointed are you in the whole ball experiment of the three boys that were supposed to build the big ball brand and these big $436 basketball?
Well, if anything, what you just said, didn't you hear the story that came out the other day?
I don't know. I did not. So
people are actually blaming
LeVar Ball,
Lonzo Ball's knee injury on the Big Baller brand shoes.
That's cap because he didn't even wear those shoes when it happened, and it's like he hasn't been wearing those shoes for years.
They said he practiced in them every day,
and that's a possibility. But I think the big thing
that's part of the reason why his knees are in the condition they're in, which is why his boys don't even wear those shoes anymore.
Yeah, but Lonzo had problems at UCLA. He had problems in high school. He had problems way before Big Baller Brand was even a thing officially. So I don't put any stock into that. That's just Lonzo's body. That's just how it is. And it's unfortunate. I'm the same way, man. Every year I feel like I come on here after my softball and baseball season. I tell you guys, tore my Achilles, tore my labrum, tore my bicep, whatever it is, it happens. And that's just me. And I've recognized that. But that's just something I feel like with Lonzo. Nah, bro. Like there's no stock into that with me. That's like everybody saying that Derrick Rose tore his ACL because he wore Adidas shoes. Like, no, Derrick Rose tore his ACL because he was too small and his body was telling him that he was Usain Bolt. Like, and that's you know what I mean? Like your body couldn't handle that kind of athleticism, and that's what it is. And that's not a shot at Derrick. That's just the hand you were dealt. And Lonzo is very similar in that. I'm also not going to blame his shoes that a doctor gave you knee damage and nerve damage. Like you fucked up his knee and gave him nerve damage. I'm blaming Big Baller.
Is he not being malpracticed or sued over that? Or
I'm sure, and Dustin said the same thing. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure at some point when they can prove that and they can say at the end of the day, I think Lonzo Ball's thing is I'm going to see if I can eventually get to that point. Because Lonzo's still getting paid right now. The second NBA teams don't
start that contract
Lonzo,
is over, then it'll be different.
It'll be a problem if Lonzo never has a job again. But to your point, Jay, I disagree fully. I think LeVar killed it. And LeVar's gotten these kids, even LiAngelo is a millionaire in his own regard and endorsements and playing in the G League, even though he has no business even being in the G League. Like, that's being real. And that's something for me. Yeah. LaMelo Ball is going to get a max contract. Lonzo Ball made over $100 million. Your brand is doing amazing. You all have mansions. You all have homes. And I think that's something for me that if I'm his dad, dude, you put these kids on, they're generationally wealthy for the rest of their life. They can all take care of their own families and others. I'm cool with it. I think now if your goal was Hall of Famer, then yeah, I'd be upset. But I think the goal as a dad was to just have your kids succeed.
Of course. Well, the goal of the dad was to make sure everybody had, like you said, money in the pocket, money in the bank accounts. I mean, and they do. They have all that. So, yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and to your
point. But I do think, I guess where I was going with that was more specifically not what he was able to get them at, but the fact that he wasn't able to get them where he wanted them to go.
Right. And, you wanted them.
The growth of it. I think that's what I was kind of.
You wanted them to all play together. You wanted them to win a championship together, and that was just like that to me. Though was never the goal. Like if you really watch LeVar and you watch the way he speaks, and I feel like if LeVar was here right now, he wouldn't even give you a straight answer because that's a part of the gimmick. That's a part of the show. He's entertaining you. He's trying to get. Remember how many people he had coming on talking shit about Molly, talking crazy on Undisputed, going crazy. But it was getting his kids publicity. And he got, fuck, dude. Lonzo Ball got taken over Jason Tatum. There was no business for that even happening. But that was LeVar Ball. And that's what happened.
Right.
LaMelo's driving Lambos at 15. So I think everything he said, there's some truth to it. But I think the end goal was always, hey, we're going to play all of these people. We're going to talk crazy saying I can beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one and my kids are the best players in the world. And he did all that to gain publicity and put his kids on. And I think that's exactly – and I'll tell you this. If LiAngelo wasn't a fucking idiot when he was 18 years old, I'm not going to say he is now because I feel like he's learned from that. But at the time, if he didn't fuck up, I felt like all three of them would have made an NBA roster. Probably.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
Can I circle back on something that Mike mentioned before?
No, you cannot. No. We're too far past now. We're in the future. No, go ahead.
Mike doesn't remember anything past 2 minutes.
You were saying that Jerry Reinsdorf is kind of the problem because it's more like all he cares about mediocrity and just doing enough to get by to sell tickets.
Yeah.
I'm also starting to wonder if AK is part of the problem. And hear me out on this one.
Oh, yeah.
You look at the position that the Denver Nuggets have been in since AK left. Number one seed in the Western Conference twice. Won the NBA Finals this year. Yes, AK built that team in Denver to get him to be Western Conference playoff contenders, but they've gone to the next level since he left.
Right. That's where I was going with it. Is like kind of like it is kind of a different team.
The question is AK the one holding him back? Because Mark Eversley is the same situation. When Eversley was in Toronto, they never reached the level that Toronto reached until Eversley was out the door.
Right.
And they brought in that new GM. And then the moment that new GM comes there, they get to that next level and win the title. So is this front office that the Bulls put together here to build something up? Or are they actually holding the Bulls back to where they really could be?
Here's my first. I want to address the Toronto thing because that wasn't like a genius GM move. That was, hey, I traded for Kawhi for 5 seconds, and the second Kawhi left, they went right back to mediocrity. So that's, that was just Kawhi.
And when Kawhi was there, and real quick, Mike, when Kawhi was there, they had a lot of things go right with injuries throughout the league during that playoff run.
Talking about Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Joel Embiid getting the stomach flu for fucking 4 weeks straight. Like, that was fucking nuts. Like, remember, he had that stomach virus. It was crazy. And, there was a lot of things that went right. The shot that Kawhi took, I'm not taking anything away from him. Great shot. I mean, it's Kawhi's legacy, but we're going to act like that was great. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of things went right. But to the Bulls' point, it's like, I'll agree with you. And you brought in Lonzo, you brought in Caruso, you brought in DeMar, you brought in everything you needed to bring in. You extended Zach LaVine, but you didn't draft well. Dalen Terry is a social media director now because he doesn't even get to play. He's just a fucking goof. And I like Dalen Terry, but I mean, he doesn't do anything. And then Patrick Williams, you took him number 4 overall. You're looking at guys like James Wiseman, who's a pivotal point in Detroit right now. You're looking at LaMelo Ball, who's a franchise player. Anthony Edwards is a franchise player. And then number 4 is Patrick Williams, who averages 10 points a game and is a pussy and won't get a board. But that's something for me where it's like, dude, you aren't doing it. Sorry, Jay, I tried, but I really don't like Patrick Williams. And that's something, though, you have to look at. And
hey, at one point, I was like, you know what? Hell with it. Roll.
You got to acknowledge it, though. Marco Simonovic, like, this is not the next Jokic. It's just a white boy from Europe who's super tall, and he's a double-double in the G League. Stat guy could tell you all about how good he is in the G League. He comes to the bigs, and he's just lost. And it's like there's no reason that you could sit here and tell me right now that you put together a team of mid-range shooters and didn't put together one good three-point shooter. There's Kobe White. Kobe White's cool. But they don't ask him to shoot. Like, that's the problem. Is like, you don't put him in positions to be great. Zach LaVine shoots sometimes. Zach LaVine will go 8 for 8 for one game and then 0 for 40 for the next 3. So that's something that, like, you're putting together a 90s roster in 2023. And if this was 1992, I think this Bulls team would be great. With or without a starting point guard like Lonzo Ball. I think with Patrick Beverley, they'd be great. Ayo Dosunmu, they'd be great. But you're going to look at fucking this roster right now and see all the guys jacking threes right now in the league and wonder why you're losing. That's why you're losing, because one, Zach's not consistent. He's going to give you 13 in an elimination game. That's your highest paid player. DeMar is in and out. Like, Vooch is either the best big man in the league or below average, and there's no in between. It's just a bad time. And I'm not trying to be a hater, but when you go into the NBA draft and Gonzo goes, hey, let's talk NBA draft, and I realize I don't have a first pick or a second round pick, and all I have to look at right now is Dalen Terry laughing on Instagram. I don't have anything until 20. I don't have anything until I'm 25. What am I doing? What are we doing? So trade it. Trade it away. I mean, look at New York, the New York Knicks. I don't want RJ Barrett. I don't want Emmanuel Quickly. I don't want any of them. They have 3 first-round picks in 2024. Go fucking get them. Go get them. Trade RJ Barrett and those picks, whatever you got to do. I know they don't want RJ, and if they try to tell me they want RJ, that's fine. I'll take Evan Fournier. I don't care. Whatever you got to do to get those picks, get those picks. Because they're all from different teams, so they're all going to be in different places. Those could be 2 lottery picks. Like, right now, dude, you fucked up on getting a first-round pick because you traded for Vooch, and now Vooch might not even be on the team. Oh, we're talking about 3 years, $66 million extension. Why? Why? What the fuck has he done to earn $22 million a year? A play-in loss, 2 play-in losses, and a sweep by fucking Milwaukee? Get fucked. Get out of here. Go back to Orlando. I don't care. Sorry, Gonzo, but no, stop. Like, the Bears beat you, bro. The Cubs beat you, bro. You're supposed to be the Chicago Bulls. The house Michael brought. The fucking house that Derrick Rose brought back to life. The Windy City Assassin, the kid from Inglewood, the son of Shy. He came back. You didn't do nothing with him. You didn't do nothing with Jimmy. Now you're going to say you did nothing with Levine. And I have to sit up here and feed another rebuild and say, this one's going to be different. But why? You fired Gar Forman and John Paxson. You brought in Arturas and Mark. That still hasn't changed anything. You fired Tibbs. You fired Fred. You fired Jim. You fired the guy that was in between that. I think it was just the janitor. They couldn't find anybody for one day when they kicked Jim Boylan out. Now you have fucking Billy Donovan, who is he a great coach, or does he just have true point guards who make up for where he lacks, like Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul and Shazier Alexander and Lonzo Ball?
That's the point that I was going to make when you were done was I don't think anybody knows how good of a coach Billy Donovan is because everywhere that he's been, he's had talent. You go to Oklahoma City, he has Harden, Durant, and Westbrook. You go to Chicago, you get DeRozan, Ball, and Vucevic. We don't know how good of a coach Billy Donovan is because he goes from Florida when he has all those talented teams in Florida, comes to the NBA and inherits 3 perennial all-stars right away, takes Oklahoma City to the playoffs all 5 years he was there, gets them to the Western Conference Finals one of those 5 years, and then he comes to Chicago and inherits a rebuild where they improved his first season there. They weren't great at all, but they still improved. Then he has the big offseason last year, gets the pieces that he got last year where they were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The flaws of that team. They needed perimeter shooting. Got no perimeter shooting last year. They needed more help on
but you know what they did get, Dustin?
Got Andre Drummond. You just got to play 20 games.
Don't forget Tristan Thompson. That was crazy. Hey, I need a 3-point shooter, right? Dustin. Here's Tristan Thompson.
And Mike, you and I talked about this last year too. That there was times during the year last year where we felt that Andre Drummond should have been getting more minutes than he was getting. You sign a guy who's a guy that's going to give you 15 rebounds a night, 12 to 15 points a night, and you went 20 games and played him 5 times. What was the point of signing him to a 1-year, $8 million deal with a player option for that second year if you're not going to use him?
And I'm on the boat right now, and I've told Gonzo this. Like, I don't want Vooch back for $22 million a year. I will rock out with Andre Drummond as my starting 5. I will put him at the 5 and start him every game, and I won't lose a drop of sleep about it. Because when that kid got minutes, he put in work. And it's something that Andre Drummond's done that his whole career. Andre Drummond's a bucket. I mean, he's a dog. I mean, he's not what he was. It was either in Cleveland or in Detroit whenever he was going on that tear where he was just insane. But it's something that
but he still averages what they said he still averages 19 rebounds per 48 minutes. And he gets like 15 minutes tonight and he still gives you 10 boards.
Exactly. And it's like I'm looking at Vooch. Vooch will give me 8 boards in the first half and then 0 in the second. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like what you just fucking okay, cool, got my numbers for the night. I'm gonna go hang out with Jay McLovin courtside. Like that doesn't what are you doing, bro? Like that doesn't make sense to me. And it's like there's just so many things wrong. I don't want to hear, oh, well, we're 1 piece away and we just need a fully healthy team. I don't care because Gonzo says it all the time. I don't care what it is. I don't care where it is. If you have shit on a Lambo, there's still shit on a Lambo. Like, if this what it could be, that's great. But if I have a car with no engine in it, then I'm selling the fucking car. I'm getting rid of it. Take it to the junkyard. Throw it away. I don't want it anymore because it's cool. It looks nice. It don't go nowhere. It just stays in front of my lot all day.
Just sitting there taking up space.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, guys, I got to roll out, man. But I do want to say, hey, congrats on getting afternoon show back up and going. And also congratulations, Mike, on your interviews with Dr. J, Lisa Leslie, and so forth. I know you had there was a third one in there. Help me out. Who was the third one? Ice Cube. Thank you. Congratulations on your accomplishments and what you're doing, brother, man. You're inspirational, and I love each and every one of you. Stat Guy, love you, man. Gonzo, I will catch you guys on the afternoon show tomorrow. Y'all be good.
Oh, right. Today's Thursday. I hate my life. Levine, DeMar, Vooch, gotta go today. Yes, sir. Loving the
before we
today.
do get out of here, what do you guys think is going to happen with Zion? Do you guys think New Orleans will trade Zion Williamson?
I think he goes to Portland for that number 3 pick.
Great porn star. Man, that's so illegal. That I just wanted to say that really quick. That is so illegal what she's saying right now. Like, oh, I'm gonna post our sex tape, all types. Like that is so all types. Like I want her to
extortion.
Yeah, I want her to do it. I want her to do it because he can sue the fuck out of her. Like every penny she's ever made and ever will make will be gone. Like she's a psycho, bro. You got to be careful.
The NBA could the NBA and New Orleans sue as well? Because she's trying to demand that New Orleans trade him, where she's going to drop that. So she's kind of threatening them as well.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
with the Pelicans.
Fuck it. I might sue as well. At that point, I don't even want to see it. You made me see it. I didn't want to see it. I don't need to see that Godzilla man. But no, I think Zion's an interesting situation. I think Stat Guy just said it. Portland for the number 3 pick. I think that would be sick.
I think Zion to Portland for that number 3 pick, and is that Anthony Simmons? Is that his name?
Simons.
So I think him and the number 3 pick for Zion.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, that would be cool. It doesn't do anything for me just because it's not enough. You know what I mean? Like on paper, it'll be sick. Damon Zion together. You have Shaedon Sharp. You have a bunch of other guys that you could really look at. But at the end of the day, one, I heard they really don't want to. Right. Is he going to be healthy? And 2, I heard they really don't want to give up that number 3 pick. Whoever they land, I think they're very big on. And that's, are you willing to give up that for Zion, who's played damn near just as many games as Lonzo Ball has in the last few years? Like, I don't know. That's kind of it's a risky.
Especially
it's
if something happens. If something was to happen and Miller goes number 2 and Henderson sitting there at 3, do you want to pass on Scoot?
If Scoot's at 3, like a lot of people think he's gonna be. I mean, dude, it's gonna be interesting because I think that's the interesting thing about Jordan kind of buying out, and I think that was somebody in his ear telling him you need to draft Scoot, and everybody was saying that he wanted to draft the kid out of Alabama, and it's like, I think Jordan just got fed up with it. Jordan was done because he's fucked up so many drafts. Let's be real. He has fucked up so many drafts for the Charlotte Hornets. But I think that's a conversation, Chris, right there. Could you see LaMelo and Zion team up? Is that something? Gordon Hayward in the second overall pick? Could that be something that they want to do? Do they want it? Because you already have Zion already tied with Jordan. The pitch would not be hard. I feel like Michael Jordan would still pitch that. And I think that's something that I'd be really interested in seeing is LaMelo and Zion. I think that would be something crazy.
Yeah. I think Jordan would pitch it because he's also, I mean, he's still a minority owner. He still has some ownership in the team. He's just not the majority no more. Yeah.
Right. But I'm on the train of LaMelo and Zion. I don't care about Dame and Zion. I don't think Portland's a good place for Zion. I've never been to Portland, but it's not a market that you want to see now. Buzz City, Charlotte runs deep when it comes to basketball. I mean, fuck, they got so many people. Man, my bad. But the Bulls really just sent me over one, Gonzo. They really did. But it really comes down to it. Like, Charlotte runs deep. Look at how many people go see LiAngelo Ball play for their Swarm team. Like, it's insane. And it's like, I think they're waiting for Charlotte basketball to get good for a first time in a very long time. Like, they weren't even great when Kemba Walker was there. So I think Zion would be great for them.
And he's closer to home.
Very.
Spartanburg.
And well, real quick, another thing just popped up in my head before we do go. NCAA baseball, the College World Series. Have you guys been watching any of that? It's been wild.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Best tournament of the year since March Madness.
I lost.
Hey, at least you made it. At least you made it.
Again. I don't care. I lost again. I lost to LSU.
At least you made it.
I don't want to. I lost to LSU twice. Hate it here. Can't stand
well, there's been some crazy games. A lot of crazy things happen. It's been fun to watch. I've watched quite a bit. I've watched a lot of the super regionals as well. Because I mean, we here in Indiana, you had Indiana State make it, which was pretty cool for a smaller school. In Ball State, in my hometown, they made it to the regionals this year. Of course, you had IU make it. So we had some teams from around here. But we didn't have a whole lot of success, but we made it. Yeah, Oral Roberts was. When is the is it tomorrow when the actual championship starts?
I think it's Saturday,
Sunday.
I know
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Wake Forest, LSU.
Wake Forest and LSU play today.
Yeah.
And if whoever wins that, then I think it's Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday if necessary.
I missed you, Gonzo. LSU by a country mile.
Glad to be back doing it. I've just been trying. I'm trying to get some stuff took care of medically, and a lot of appointments in the mornings. And hopefully they figure something out. Because I'm tired of hurting all the damn time.
Heard
Try
that.
to get some figured out.
Dude, the Reds got better before you did, bro. We need you back. We need you back. The Reds came back.
The Cubs got better before he did too.
Don't want to talk about that. We're not talking about that. The Cubs are not better. They're not better. It is a streak. It is a streaky. That's up and down roller coaster. They're bipolar. I don't even want to talk about it. But the Reds, man, how about them Reds? That's legit.
I hope it's legit. They've been playing. Hey, they're a lot better than they were last year. So
I saw your boy.
Like I told Dad, now we just have to avoid. We have to avoid the like an 8 or 9 game losing streak. If we can avoid that, we're sitting in pretty good position.
Is it that easy? Is it that easy, Gonzo? Just don't lose 8 games straight.
That's what I'm hoping. No, what you said about Joey? He's one of my favorite players.
2 for 3.
I love that
he
came back and had that big game. Yep,
man,
had 3 RBIs.
3 RBIs. Yeah. I was so happy for him. This is his first.
And I was glad because if he wouldn't have performed good that game and they would have lost that game, he would have had the fan base and everybody on him about how he ruined the chemistry and they shouldn't have brought him back.
I did want to ask you that.
Glad he had a good game.
Is it all love with Reds fans and Joey Votto, or is it like a awkward thing? Like, because I know like in situations with his name Miguel Cabrera, guys on the Tigers still love him, even though if that guy gets a hit, everybody acts like they won the World Series, like he's that bad. But I've heard a lot of people say that not a lot of Red fans want Joey Votto back, and I think that's a weird conversation because like Dustin and I say it all the time. Rizzo could have been 53 years old if he was on first base every day. People were gonna love him, and that's what it was. Like no matter what, and I think. Like the Votto stuff was very surprising to me.
That's how
I saw
I feel.
some negative stuff.
That's how I feel. How I feel about Votto. I love Votto. He's been one of my favorite players since he came in the league with the Reds. So I didn't want to see him gone. I'm glad he's back.
I think the big reason why Mike's saying like what he was just saying about some people want Votto gone, I think it's you look at the youth movement that the Reds are going through right now, the success that they have as a team right now. I think a lot of people are just saying, Joey Votto, you're kind of older. Yes, you're the veteran, but you're kind of that last remaining piece from the years where we sucked. And we just kind of want to wash that away from our history and just have all these new faces come in here.
I'm not a believer in that, though. I'm not a believer in that at all. I talked to Gonzo about that.
I like that he's there because of him being a veteran as well, because we
exactly.
I agree. Votto's the one person on that team, in my opinion, that should not be traded.
Yeah, and Gonzo and I talk about it all the time.
Universal DH, Gonzo. I think helps out a lot as well because you don't have to play him out in the field every day.
Right, and I think that's the beauty of it is like, dude, you think you're gonna bring these young kids up here and they're just gonna win a World Series together? It's not happening. Like it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. Like you need the guys who were there in the dog days. John Lester got signed when he got signed because even though he knew he was gonna go through it,
some players are supposed to be on a.
I think you cut out there, Dustin. You're back, sir. Welcome back. You lagged out for a minute, sir.
Oh, I said Votto's like Votto's one of those players that should be on one team for his entire career.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's how long are you going to be on that team is the question. And I think that's the problem. But it's kind of like when Albert Pujols went to the Dodgers for a minute. It's not a good time. But Gonnie, you got your Gonzo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I was like, is that Pops?
No, that was my mom.
Let me see your mom. I'm just kidding. I was just kidding. It was a joke. Mrs. Pops. But no, I agree with you. I think they're because Gonzo and I said it before, and I keep saying me and Gonzo talk about being shit a lot because our teams are shit. But it comes down to it. In October, you got these young kids on the Mariners, you got these young kids on the Guardians that come up, and then they whiff because it's their first time being there. Joey Votto can be the calm for that anxiety that comes to a clubhouse around that time. Joey Votto's been there. He hasn't been there often, but he's been there. And he has those conversations that, hey, listen, like I've been in the league a long time. I know what to do in these situations. I know how to get this done. That's why Anthony Rizzo was so important. That's why Starlin Castro was as important as he was for the short time that he was. Then we had to obviously part ways with him. And there's so many different things. John Lester, the list goes on. Guys, you have to have veterans on these teams, and especially guys like that who are the face of the franchise. Like that is so important. Like you're it's not a competition. It is passing the mantle. And that's really how you need to look at it. It's like, that's why I love totally different conversation. But Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane knew they were leaving the Blackhawks, but they were not in any way, shape, or form toxic or negative about the way things were going. They were just showing the new guys the ropes, and they were allowing them to do what they need to do and still being productive while doing it. And if Joey Votto can bat 250 and hit some homers here and there, I think that's cool with me. It's cool with me.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. And I think most of your real Reds fans that followed the team for years, I think they like the Votto's there. I think some of your fair weather fans are the ones that are kind of wanting them gone because, like Dustin said, you got the young wave of talent. But Votto's like the guys you just described, though. He's not toxic. He's a team guy.
Great guy.
And I think these young players really like him as well. And since he's came back, it seems like he's fit in real well with everybody. So I just hope they
name one Canadian you don't like. Just one Canadian that you never liked. I can't.
Larry Walker.
Great. Oh, that's fair. But I've never met one. They're all good people to me. I feel like Dustin has one person he hates out of every ethnicity and every group of just people. There's somebody from everywhere that Dustin just doesn't like. Like Freddie Henderson is definitely one from the Sports Empire Network. Tired of that shit. But yeah, Dustin, Gonzo, it's been real. I'm going to leave because Jay's probably mad at me now. I was doing so well. But it was great seeing you guys. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one.
All right, man. Well, Stat Guy, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here? And I'm getting ready to start my other show.
No, not really. I just have everyone. Yeah, it is nice to be back. That's for sure. But yeah, just have everyone turn into our baseball show that we're going to be starting back up on Monday, since it's been quite a while since we've had one of those. And there's obviously a lot that we're going to have to kind of discuss and unfold, because the baseball standings look a hell of a lot different now than they did the last time we had one.
And then why I think they look different than what anybody probably thought they would as well. You got a lot of teams.
And at least I would say in at least 4 of the 6 3 of the 6 divisions, I think you could argue that look different than what people thought they would. I think Atlanta and Tampa Bay are kind of what people expected. And I think the Twins are kind of what people expected too, just because the Twins are probably the most talented team in the AL Central. But the other 3, apart from me, because I did pick Texas to win the AL West. So apart from me on that one, I think the other 3 divisions look a lot different than what most people expected them to look, at least at this point in the year.
I don't think there was many people that thought the Cardinals would be in last place in the Central.
And I don't think there's many people that thought the Diamondbacks would be in first and the Dodgers would be in third.
Yeah. Yeah, that as well. Diamondbacks have looked good. I think they're a team that is moving in the right direction and could be a solid team for a while if they manage things right. And then the National League Central is starting to look like it's going to be a good division over the next few years. Because I mean, the Cubs are getting better, Reds are better.
From the NL.
Pirates are better.
Yep.
I know the Pirates have been kind of up and down here lately, but they're better than what they have been over the last 5, 6, maybe even 10 years.
Yeah, but I think everyone expected the Cardinals to kind of run away with that division this year, just because of the talent that they had. And you look at the team that they had last year. But the rest of that division, I said all 4 teams: the Pirates, the Reds, the Brewers, and the Cubs. I thought all 4 teams could win between 77 and 84 games. So I thought the NL Central was going to be a very competitive division. I just thought the Cardinals were going to be miles above the rest of that division. But now you're starting to see the Cardinals are bad right now. I'm not going to say they're not, but we can't expect the Cardinals to be terrible all year, because it's still the Cardinals. All it takes for them to get going is one hot streak and they can put themselves right back in the middle of it. But I think all 5 teams in the NL Central are going to be right around 500 by the end of the season. I think it's just going to be a competitive division where they kick the crap out of each other the second half of the year.
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying about the Reds. Well, basically, I keep telling myself this because I ain't gonna lie. I'm excited. We're playing great. I mean, and things are. We haven't been playing like this in a long time, but it's also still early in the season. We're not past the All-Star break yet, so a lot can still happen. But we just got to keep, like I've been telling my dad, got to keep winning divisions. Don't get swept, or not divisions, series. Don't get swept in series. But and hopefully we can keep it up because hey, I mean, it's just being real. We're not going to win. We're not going to win every game from now to the end of the season. You know, I mean, this winning streak isn't going to last forever. It's going to end. But you got to try to keep them going on. Like I said earlier, them 8-9 game losing streaks. If you can keep from going on that, at least that gives you a chance to still be competitive and have a chance for the division or for the playoffs. And I think we have a good chance to make the playoffs. But
yeah, and the one,
like so,
one last thing I'll say too is it did.
Thank you. You froze up, man.
Yeah, this is why this new schedule was created. Because this new balanced schedule that the Major League Baseball created, now you're actually starting to see that you eliminate more division games and you make everybody play everybody. The competition factor starts to level down. So now you really start to see who the best teams in baseball are compared to who the worst teams in baseball are. But now you get to see kind of there really isn't that much gap between some of these good teams and some of these bad teams. And you're starting to see that with teams like Arizona, teams like Cincinnati, Miami, Texas, all these teams that have kind of been the bottom feeders the last couple of years because they've been stuck in a division where you have 3 or 4 good teams that make up over half of your schedule, where if you struggle against those 3 or 4 teams, your season's over before you can even get started. Now you have this balanced schedule and everybody plays these same teams and they have a chance to bank wins. And I think that's why you kind of see the standings the way they are now, because now these teams know that I have 30 less games in a division to play. If I go 20-10 in those 30 less games because I'm playing other teams, that's a 10-game swing that I could have that I didn't already have.
I think that's made a big difference, and also I think some of the rule changes, like the shift going away, is really it's made the games a little funner to watch because it's not all just home runs and strikeouts anymore. We're seeing stolen bases. You're seeing some. I think I've seen more bunts this far into the season this year than I have probably the last 5 years.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you're starting to see a little more action in the games, and makes the games a little funner to watch. And I think that might draw some new people to watching it just because it's not as much downtime in the game, and you're seeing a little more action in the game. It seems like, and I mean, if you look at the team batting averages, teams are hitting the ball better this year. The batting average, team batting averages are up. You still have some teams that aren't hitting the ball good, but I mean, there was a couple years ago, you had a lot of teams like in 220, 230s. Now there's a lot more teams that are hitting 245, 250 as a team. So I think the new rule changes have worked out pretty good so far.
Yeah.
And like you said, along with the schedule change.
Yeah.
But all right. We appreciate everybody joining. Go ahead.
No, so that's all I got, Chris, if you want to just close up.
Yeah, appreciate everybody watching. Thanks for joining us. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at GonzoSportsRoom and at ASAP Sports Network. Like, follow Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram at the ASAP Sports Network and at GonzoSportsRoom. That's where we post all the information about our upcoming shows. I'll be back live here in about 10-15 minutes with Easy Money, a sports betting show. That'll be coming up next here on the ASAP Sports Network. And then also at tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, you have Unscripted. That'll be on the ASAP Sports Network as well. So come join us for that. Please keep sharing, and commenting. It helps more people see our videos, so we appreciate that. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern with another episode of the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. Have a great day.
Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. 5, we making a place. We talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.